Excuse me.
That's all right. It's quite all right, sir. Hey, if Howard Stern can burp and fart and do all kinds of things, it's good enough for him. It's good enough for us. It happens to be Sunday, March the Toid.
Sunday.
Or March the 3rd. Sunday, March the 3rd, 2013. And it is the countdown to St. Patrick's Day. Because St. Patrick's Day is March March
17th?
the 17th.
Boom.
And that's why I'm wearing this tie. And I was invited to Steve the Carnival Man,
Hey.
who happens to be Irish. I think him and his wife are Irish. I was invited. I'm going to go with Mass Bob and Ken Create to his annual St. Patrick's Day bash, open house bash, all you can eat, succulent, also all you can eat besides Pub 46 in Clifton. Succulent corned beef, brisket, and cabbage all day and all night starting at 10 a.m. and I will gorge myself. Oh, gee, I knocked old man Spock down. Sorry. I hit him with the shillelagh. I will be gorging myself, and I will be videotaping it. Incidentally, speaking of video, I want to thank everyone from Genesis Championship Wrestling. I want to salute Mr. Rob Fury and all of the men who participated in last night's action-packed, huge card, big roster show. It went on for past 3 hours, I think, way past, because you know what happened? The memory in the camera was full about 2/3 of the way into the show. I could not technically, and I do apologize, I could not technically video the entire event at the Elks Lodge in Pompton Lakes, New Jersey, the first North Jersey show, from what I understand, and there were two brand new titles crowned, so to speak, brand new belts, never worn. The Genesis Championship Wrestling tag team titles were presented to the distinguished, very sophisticated gentleman, Wasp, and Big Ben Cromwell are the new Genesis Wrestling, Genesis Championship Wrestling Tag Team Champions, and then the new Genesis Tri-Borough Champion was crowned also, and brand new belts. So there's nothing like the smell of a brand new pro wrestling belt. So I want to salute Genesis Championship Wrestling. I was there. Ken Create was there performing. Mass Bob was there. We were all there. And I got here very late because for some reason I forgot to actually set the alarm. I set the time, but I fell asleep because of doing the show, and I did not set the alarm. So I am here very late. So we're gonna get right through everything quick. I want to formally pipe aboard my co-host and mentor. Formally pipe him aboard our progressive liberal pirate ship. Ahoy, matey. R. The Reverend Dr. William J. Eisman, how are you feeling this Sunday?
What? I think my eardrum's busted.
It's finally the sun is out after all that rain. Many days of dreary, gloomy, damp, cold, icy rain.
It's still cold.
It's cold, but the sun's out.
Yeah.
The sun is out.
Because we're heading for spring.
That's right. Spring is what? March 21st?
Somewhere's around the 20th.
Spring. March goes in like a lion and out like a lamb, or is it in like a lamb?
In like a lamb and out like a no, in like a lion, out like a lamb.
Out like a lamb.
However,
the month of starch, and then we have the merry month of May, which is famous for flowers.
However,
posies.
Somewhere's around 1904 or so.
To my levity bells.
somewhere around 1904 or so.
What happened in 1904?
The end of March, there was a big blizzard in New York
Really?
City. Yeah.
And this
So
happened.
that's not too going out like a lammy.
No, that's going in like a lion and going out like Godzilla.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Anyway, because we're running extremely late, actually, 45 minutes late, let us sink our teeth into these readings. And I just want to tell everybody before we sink our teeth into these readings and pick the good ones. If you want to get a shillelagh like James P. Madonna, happens to be the good luck shillelagh. I was calling it the weapons shillelagh, which it can be a weapon because it's made the same way. It's blackthorn, but this style is called the good luck shillelagh. If you want to get one, go to XavierGifts.com. That's XAVIER Gifts. XavierGifts.com, and ask for Patty, and tell her that Mega Life 21, James P. Madonna sent you, and you can get one. So all my fans could be literally an army of blackthorn imported from Ireland, shillelagh toting liberals. It is, and if the blackthorn is grown in Ireland, that's what makes it lucky. So this is it. Get yours now.
However,
Countdown to St. Patrick's Day.
However,
Yes.
the Republicans have the AK, what is
47?
it, 47s against the shillelaghs
Well, the shillelagh is symbolic, but don't forget
with a magazine of 100.
when it comes, Irish stick fighting is a form of martial arts. Look it up on YouTube.
Remember the old joke?
Hand-to-hand combat. It's a very formidable fighting system.
Remember the old joke of
What?
the ninja guy that comes up to the other guy and starts doing his ninja crapola and stuff? The guy pulls out a gun and shoots him.
You mean you're talking about bullet-style kung fu?
I'm talking about bullet style, whatever.
So the Shaolin monk.
Ain't no competition for the bullet.
If the bullet, if
Yeah.
the Shaolin monk can catch an arrow,
Oh,
he won't be
come
able.
on.
Yes, he can.
You
yes,
can't
he can.
catch no stinking arrow.
Yes, they can.
You're watching too much of the Matrix.
No, David Carradine did it too in the series Kung Fu.
Yeah, in the series Kung Fu, but that's fantasy.
They can catch an arrow. Listen, you jabroni. They can catch an arrow.
Yeah,
Let me
right in
tell-
their body.
No, not in their body.
Yeah, they can catch an arrow in their body.
Their body. No, but what I'm saying is they are Supermen, the Shaolin monks. They are Supermen. And despite what this jabroni partner of mine says, they are Supermen.
Do they die?
But the bullet is much faster than the arrow. Huh?
Do they die?
Shaolins? Well,
Yeah.
the hero of the movie doesn't die.
I'm not talking about movies. I'm talking about real
The
life.
bad guys, well, you know what? In real life, the bad guys they probably don't even know it themselves, but they are the soldiers of Satan in the end times. They are the wicked, right-wing, greedy, stingy, right-wing conservatives that will stop at nothing before they cut all help and all social programs for the poor and the middle class. They claim to care about the middle class a tax burden, but it's bullshit. It's a lie. They want the middle class to continue to have the tax burden, so the rich will pay nothing and get richer, and they will eventually enslave the poor, desperate masses, and because they're so greedy, enslave them, and a lot. It's going on with outsourcing. Those poor people in Asia, those poor souls, it's going on there. There's slave labor camps. I heard in Argentina. I think it's
Monsanto.
I think, yeah. Well, and you know Monsanto's involved with a lot of wickedness, and they all are. What the hell? Walmart. This is real life battling. So this shillelagh is symbolic. It's hand-to-hand combat in the hands of somebody who knows how to use it. if the other guy doesn't have the high-tech weapon, this thing can do damage. Sink your teeth into that reading.
Anytime E.J. Dion,
Who's he?
a Catholic in name only,
Oh, gee.
writes about Catholicism,
Catholicism.
Catholicism. Catholicism. Now, what's the difference?
Catholicism is the whole doctrine of the entire.
I'm not talking about the definition. I mean the emphasis on which a letter you put on there. Catholicism or Catholicism.
Is that like me saying Caribbean and you saying Caribbean?
Exactly.
Tomato, tomato, potato, potato?
Catholicism.
Whatever.
He's never happy with it.
Oh, really?
Yet he keeps revealing his inner discontent publicly as though the public was some kind of redeeming confessional.
Oh, that sounds like one of the drawbacks of a lot of liberals. They have to get the approval. It's like a babyface pro wrestler. They have to get the approval of the fans. They need the approval. Same thing with, unfortunately, liberals are like that. Everybody's got to love them.
Dion sees the Catholic Church as some kind of man-made institution.
Well, it is.
And most particularly an American one.
No.
As I write,
This guy's in.
in the Catholic Church today, we celebrate the feast of the chair of St. Peter.
Oh, okay.
Dion needs to read today's scripture readings to refresh his memory regarding papal ministry.
I didn't have time to shave.
The Catholic Church is not an organization, governmental agency, corporation, or geezer's club. It is a person, Jesus Christ.
It sounds like the much of the Republican Congress and Senate, rich elitist geezers club.
Who is its head.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And we are individual cells in that body. The Catholic Church is a living being and not an institution as humans relate
Oh,
to
like
one.
corporations are people? What's with this guy?
Male and female are equal in the eyes of God, but not the same, each playing a vital role in the body of Christ. Dion will continue
True.
to write against Catholicism
All right, so he's
and keep on being unhappy with it.
not all that bad.
Inner joy comes only when one grasps that the Church is a living organism in the body of Christ. Now talk about deception.
Yeah, I know. Talk
First
about
of all,
confusion in the end times, right?
the Roman Catholic Church has nothing to do with Jesus Christ or the Scriptures,
No.
since it grew out of Simon Magus, not the church that Jesus founded.
That is true.
And therefore, throughout history,
Laws of man.
the Catholic Church has kissed the ass of the emperors to get power
And moolah.
and ruled 6 resurrections of the Holy Roman Empire, in which they gave the right to the emperor, the state, to kill Jews and to kill heretics and to kill anyone who would not be converted by the sword or the torture chamber.
When you say converted, you're talking about converted into Catholicism.
Correct.
Catholicism. Not converted into Christianity.
Correct.
True Christianity.
Because
Okay.
they have nothing to do with each other.
So this
They
is,
took the name.
so it's like a super powerful dictatorship, totalitarian
It's its own state.
wickedness. But they have
The
an
Pope
empire.
has a throne.
Yes, it's his own state. He has a throne, but it's part of an external empire because of the control they had throughout Europe.
Correct.
Right.
It has nothing to do with Jesus Christ and the church he founded. Nothing at all. It is pagan. Its roots are pagan.
And I salute him, even though he's been dead for hundreds and hundreds of years, until Martin Luther of Germany went up against the Catholic Church and formed the first Protestant church and proved that Catholicism is not biblical. Right? Pretty much, Martin Luther?
Correct. Has nothing to do with the scriptures.
No. Well, the Catholic Church gave scientists a hard time throughout the ages.
Yeah.
Copernicus, Galileo. They couldn't mess with Isaac Newton because I think the Church of England, what are they, Anglicans?
Anglican.
The Church of England was already established, right, in England. Henry VIII established that, right? And
yeah, he established it so he could divorce all these women that he was banging.
Right, and if he couldn't divorce them, he beheaded them, right?
Whatever.
I heard the public water quality was so bad in England at that time that Henry VIII had to drink ale and booze.
Yeah, they all had to drink something that was heated. Yeah.
Fermented.
Fermented or heated.
Or boiled. Yeah. All right.
Unfortunately, the sequester is an indiscriminate problem that's going to hit every way that the federal government can help people in New Jersey equally.
You notice that all these clever little catchphrases coming from, involving Republicans. First before we had the fiscal cliff, and the news kept on talking about the fiscal cliff. Now all I hear about is sequester. And then after sequester, it'll be something else.
Yeah, it's shut down on the 27th of March.
So it'll be shut down.
Yeah.
They don't stop. They're like woodpeckers. They're relentless. They don't stop.
Well, that's the only hand they can play.
Because they got 4 years.
No plan.
They already have four.
Hand.
They have 4 more years of Obama. They can't do anything about that. So they're antagonists right now.
Well, they've been antagonists.
Antagonists.
Can I say filibuster?
Filibuster.
Used so many more times than ever in all of history.
Filibuster.
In the last 8 years, 5 years, or whatever.
That'll be funny if there was a senator running by the name of Mr. Philip Buster. Or Phil. His middle initial A, right? Phil A. Buster. Filibuster.
Some cartoonist has probably done,
Or Phil E. Buster.
Done that already. Jeez.
I thought this was clever as a new handle because my old handle wore out, but
nice.
The sound is annoying me.
We will not see the impacts tomorrow. But in the long run, as we look at the recovery over the next few months and next few years, there will be 10,000 families and small businesses that are hurt. Now, we're talking about New Jersey only.
Just New Jersey.
The president met with top lawmakers for less than an hour at the White House, then sought repeatedly to fix the blame on Republicans for the broad spending reductions and any damage that they inflict. They've allowed these cuts to happen because they refuse to budge on closing a single wasteful loophole to help reduce the deficit, he said, renewing his demand for a comprehensive deficit-cutting deal that includes higher taxes.
What else is new, right? And more reason for the teabaggers to bitch and moan about big government. Everybody, it really pisses me off, even the conspiracy theorists, whom I like very much. All they do is blame everything on government. They never say anything about corporations.
I couldn't see it all, but I caught a show the other day, an Alex Jones show, where he had Ted Nugent on.
Oh, by the way, there's a third conspiracy theory show on besides Jesse Ventura and Alex Jones. There's another one. So the conspiracy theory shows, the copycat shows are coming up, and they're good. This other one, third one, is really, really good. So they can only get better. But damn it, stop blaming government. The problem is the lobbyists coming to Washington and paying off our leaders, so-called leaders.
They're supposed to be servants. The word is servants.
Public servants. Yeah.
That's correct.
I found a banner that shows exactly how much lobbyists spend in, I guess, greasing the palms, bribing congressmen and senators. How much money goes into lobbying compared to actually doing good in this country, doing good by the people?
The president. Oh, by the way, I wanted to add something there.
Yeah.
It's funny. You see all these gun nuts coming out of the woodwork all the time. And my government is trying to take away my guns.
Yes. I'm going to be.
The House of Representatives is under the control of the Republicans. The Senate, you might well say, is also under the control of the Republicans with their filibusters. So all you got is the president who can't make any law. Now who's this government that's coming after their guns?
Or they blame Obama.
I just said,
Yeah.
he can make no laws.
Right, but all this.
Only the Congress can make laws.
But-
That means the House and the Senate,
But all this NRA propaganda.
which are under the control of Republicans.
All of this right-wing NRA propaganda that's out there all over the internet are always pointing the finger, just like many conspiracy theory people, pointing the finger at government. Government's taking away our freedom. Government's taking away our rights. Government's taking away the Constitution. Government's taking away our guns. We're going to be defenseless if we have if the wrong people take over the government. The American people cannot fight up against them. So when they say guns, first of all, nobody's going to touch your shotguns, your hunting rifles, and your legal, even though the bad guys get it through the black market, handguns.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's going to take away your guns as far as that's concerned. Now, what are they worried about? Their assault rifles being taken away?
No, they do not make that distinction. That's what I'm saying.
They say
all guns.
all guns.
Correct. And all guns are going to be taken away, and taken away by what? A Republican-controlled government? Which we have now?
Well,
They're nuts!
Republicans would love for the mainstream masses to have no guns. The Republicans.
No, they're the ones who want guns.
I thought they're the fascists.
They want the National Rifle Association and
okay.
its protection of manufacturers of guns to make all the goddamn money they can.
Well, who is
Nobody. That's the point I'm making.
Well, who's behind all this fascism that's emerging in America?
Where's this fascism? The fascism is in the Defense Authorization Bill, where Obama can say anybody he chooses is a terrorist. But what the hell does that have to do with taking away your guns? With a Republican-controlled government?
Maybe they're just concocting it in their own crazy mind.
Crazy mind.
Paranoid mind.
Is the operative words.
Paranoid mind.
Because it ain't going to happen under Republican control, and yet that's everything. It's all over the place. Government going to take away my guns.
Well, these are like red state, Bible Belt, redneck areas of the country.
But they voted for the Tea Party.
They do because they follow a religious cult. Talk about Catholicism. The offshoots in the Protestant on the Protestant side of Christianity, you have all these occult Christian denominations, like offshoots of the Baptist Church, and then you got You got Mormons and
evangelicals.
evangelicals. They believe in a rapture. They believe in the immortal soul. They speak in supposedly.
Hell,
they speak in tongues. Even it's idiotic gibberish. It's nothing but gibberish.
Yeah.
You know, real tongues that's over with in the Old Testament, right? That had its time, and that's it.
If you're speaking gibberish, you're talking from the devil. The devil is the author of confusion. God is not. So if the tongues you speak in are gibberish, they are not of God.
Well,
pure and simple.
The devil must be telling the Mormons to do what they do as far as marriage goes. You know, like they can still have multiple wives.
No,
not anymore.
Traditional.
Or what about the cultist Baptists that have to bring poisonous serpents, rattlesnakes into the church and dance around with them?
Because they have not grasped important scripture, which says God is cut off from the vast majority of humans. So you can handle all the snakes you want. If you are not part of the 144,000, guess what? When that snake bites you, you know what's going to happen? You're going to die.
That's right. But all these born-again evangelicals seem to think that you can have a conversation with God or the Lord anytime you choose about any little minuscule frivolous thing, subject. I mean, they're constantly saying, I had a conversation with God the other day.
It was one way.
I mean, Ken does it. Ken Create does it. Hold on.
It was one way.
They all have conversations with God constantly, and they believe that the 144,000 really doesn't mean 144,000 literally. It means all the born-again people that repented and are covered by the blood of Christ, and it goes into the millions, are going to be raptured up in the sky.
Did they get the Holy Spirit?
Well, they claim they did.
Oh, how did it appear?
I don't know.
Well, then how do they know they got it?
Because they say so.
Oh, okay, thank you.
A lot. Hey, you know what? Look at the deeds of these people, at the fruits of what's in their mind. Like if they live the life of a Jesus Christ, and they live a Christian life, then most likely they're Christians and they repented and they're cool. But if they do,
if they were chosen, if they were called.
So in other words, you could be a hell of a nice guy, but if you're not called as part of the 144,000 elect,
okay,
that's what the word.
Your time is the great white throne judgment.
The great white throne judgment.
And not when Jesus comes.
That's when you either go into a paradise existence, or you go into the lake of fire. That's after the great white throne judgment.
After the white throne judgment, you either become immortal, or you're burned up.
Soul too?
The soul is you.
Ah.
It is the body. Animals have souls too.
Naphish. So what these evangelical born-againers are saying is that they believe there is an immortal soul that is separate from the physical body.
Right.
All right, continue.
Republicans said they wanted deficit cuts, but not tax increases.
Yeah, they want to cut programs from the poor and the masses.
Where else?
It's never the military if it was up to them.
The president got his tax hikes on January 1, said House Weeper John Boehner.
By the way, are the rich still not paying their fair share in taxes?
Correct.
Okay.
And if you'll be patient,
you'll get to something.
Mr. Eisenman's new article will be showing that.
In our wonderful local newspaper?
No.
Oh, the article
in the newsletter.
the next issue of Newsletter Censored. We're coming upon that so quickly.
It's due now, but I have been busy researching.
Do we have a new God project?
That I know already what I'm going to do.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You know the title? The title?
Life after death.
Ah, and that should debunk a lot of the nonsense that we've been hearing from your born-again evangelicals.
Hopefully.
Life after death.
But you can't debunk someone who's deceived.
Go to the light, go to the light, go to the white light, go to the light. Does that mean?
They don't even go to the fluorescent bulb.
I'm looking at it. I'm looking at a full spectrum fluorescent lighting right now. Is that what they're going towards when they die?
I guess so. But it ain't the sunshine, that's for
So
sure.
the people in the hospital that claim they died and came back, what they might have been seeing was the fluorescent fixture on the ceiling of their hospital room. Go to the light. Go to the white light.
Or they might have been dreaming very well. And some dreams are as real sometimes.
Yeah, especially the erotic dreams.
Especially some of those.
And when they claim to see their dead relatives waiting for them at the entrance of the light.
And that conflicts with Bible. What does that mean?
Immortal
They
soul.
invented it.
If you have dead relatives dressed in white togas or robes, and they're waiting for you in a white light, that means that we have an immortal soul that flies out of our body, which they insist we do. They also insist on a dimension, a place where you wait, or the wicked wait and suffer torment until the judgment. They believe in a kind of, what is that, like a form of purgatory?
I don't give it much thought since it's a bunch of made up crap.
And you know what's amazing? They sound so convinced and serious about their cult.
So did Hitler.
Their misconceptions.
So did Hitler. So did Jim Jones. So does every other religion.
They're so sure of themselves, and they argue with you tooth and nail.
Because they're deceived. A person who's deceived does not know that he is deceived.
They're that deceived.
Of course. If they keep bellowing about something that is totally off the wall, they continue to be deceived.
And they get defensive, and they raise their voice to you. They get defensive.
What about all through history when each religion's fought against each one? They certainly raised their voices and their swords.
Holy wars. I was watching a movie last night about the Crusades.
There you go.
In Jerusalem, the Crusades. Did God or did an angel actually come down and tell people in Europe that you must? Well, I think the Muslims were took control of Jerusalem.
They were at one time.
Okay.
That's why the Pope told everybody to go and get it back. And get Acre back. What was it? Acer? Whatever. At one point they were catapulting cut off heads across the city walls.
So they can bring disease to the enemy?
How brutal these people were.
Yeah, it really sounds like soldiers for the Lord, huh?
Yeah, for God, who is a loving God, would never okay torture, and certainly does not want anyone warring with each other. There was a time with Joshua and etc. where God wanted the inhabitants of the particular land chased out, and he allowed the Israelites to chase them out and kill them. But he doesn't sanction war on either side. There's no such thing as a just war or a good guy in a war from the biblical standpoint.
Well, it's war, God said, "Thou shalt not kill," so I don't think he's that crazy about war.
No. But of course, when you can make God into a conservative capitalist, I guess you can make him into anything.
You know what? You're absolutely right. If you can turn God into a conservative, right-wing capitalist, you can make him into anything your imagination conjures up.
Correct.
That's a very funny thought, that these people actually feel that God is a conservative capitalist.
Well, they certainly do.
A capitalist that doesn't believe in helping the poor at all. Gee, is that what God is really like?
No.
Mitch McConnell, old turtle face, or John Bonehead. Is that what God is really like? Or even with Chris Christie, he still, he made nice during during Tropical Storm Sandy, and was hugging a lot of people, but he's still Chris Christie. He's still a right winger.
Correct. Anyway, House Speaker Boehner told reporters that the president already got his tax hikes to reference to the $600 billion increase on higher wage earners that cleared Congress on the first day of the year. Now, he said, after the meeting, it is time to take on the spending problem here in Washington. Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell of Kentucky,
Old turtle face,
was equally emphatic. I will not be part of any backroom deal, and I will absolutely not agree to increase taxes, he vowed.
but he's talking about, the fine print is increase taxes, bring back and increase taxes on the rich, which it doesn't exist. He don't care. I don't think he cares about increasing taxes on the middle class. So
that's where they want the taxes to be increased.
So
there's more of us.
So you have a disclaimer when an old geezer Republican, gets all dramatic.
That's what happened to the Reagan. The base was broadened so that a tax cut could be given to the wealthy. So we paid more.
Right.
The Obama administration has warned of long lines at airports as security personnel are furloughed, along with teacher layoffs in some classrooms because of cuts in aid and adverse impacts on maintenance at the nation's parks.
Sure, all the cuts are made with anything that benefits the little guy, the masses, the poor and the middle class. Everything that truly benefits the wealthy are never cut.
Several New Jersey Democrats held a news conference at Newark Liberty Airport on Friday to highlight predictions of long lines for airline customers. Senator Bob Menendez, Representatives Bill Pascrell,
Democrats, right,
and Donald Payne predicted that the cuts would hit airline traffic and Homeland Security particularly hard. It's not just about inconvenience, Menendez said. It's about commerce. The Pentagon is slated to absorb half of the required cuts between now and the end of the budget year on September 30th, exposing civilian workers to furloughs and defense contractors to possible cancellations. And guess what?
What?
The sequester attacks the Pentagon budget in places where the Pentagon says, don't cut there, cut here. They got plenty of places to cut, but the sequester has the wrong ones. Okay? There's a tank, I think it's an M1. The M1 tank or something has got about a $3 billion, $4 billion, $5 billion contract. They don't want the stinking tanks. They don't want them, and they can't get rid of them. They can't get rid of the goddamn,
can't they scrap it?
No, they can't scrap it.
Why not?
Why? Because it's being built in some senator's territory or whatever.
Screw them.
Or whatever, you know. That's how it's
Screw
done.
them. Oh, man. They got to expose the corruption. But, of course, the mainstream of U.S.
It's all through the government, government corruption. What are you talking about?
And, everybody I speak to, my friends and fans of our show internationally, they all say that their government in their country
is corrupt too.
Whether it be first world, whether it be third world, fourth world, fifth world, they're all corrupt.
God has put in place the basest of men and women in the governments of the world to bring about his plan.
You mean the end times and the Great Tribulation?
If you'll remember last week, we had a discussion of you wanted to fight this, that, and the other thing. And I keep explaining, and it goes over your head or something. It's all planned by God. So whom are you going to fight to stop it?
Well, in Europe, there has been, and it hasn't been shown on the U.S. news, but there has been massive demonstrations. Massive demonstrations of angry people in various countries in Europe.
Because the countries want to pay back the banks instead of giving the money to the people and telling the banks to shove it.
Like Iceland did.
We need a new deal.
Well, I have to salute the country of Iceland and its people. That they are the examples of what should be done.
Look.
Throw the banksters and all the corrupt politicians and corporate CEOs or whatever, throw them all in prison. Throw away the key.
The capitalistic system that we have and worship in this country is a system that we allow to exist. It can be changed at any moment.
Yeah.
But why should it be when it protects the big boys and girls?
Okay.
Because the little guy ain't going to do it once they've paid off all the big, so-called leaders.
You're right. You're right. And this, like that gentleman that was that protester that was holding up a large cardboard sign that so many people liked, and he was.
I think I shared that.
Yeah, he pretty much took our problem and put it into a nutshell and put it on one piece of cardboard, and it got right to the point. And just like Dr. Bill just said, the right decisions can be made rather quickly. Get rid of this, get rid of that, put this guy in prison, put the whole kit and caboodle in prison, cut this, trim the military down to make it lean and mean, bring back the social programs, make the rich pay the tax burden once again, which they should. Make all the right decisions with health care and, on and on and on and on. I mean, the right decisions can be made easily. But my question is about politicians and corporate CEOs and politicians that they pay off. How rich does one have to be content? How much money do these people need? Like a Mitch McConnell. How much money does Mitch McConnell need to be a happy, ugly, turtle-faced bastard? I mean,
is he married?
Probably to a tortoise.
Ah!
With a wig on and but the point is, how rich does one have to be to be content in life?
Well,
how many payoffs do you have to get? It's incredible. Go ahead, finish
the
this article.
4,800 civilian workers at Picatinny Arsenal here in New Jersey.
It's in New Jersey.
An Army Weapons Research and Development Center in Rockaway Township
Picayune Arsenal.
were told this week that they each face 22 days of furloughs, starting in late April and continuing through September 30.
Right.
These workers come from across North Jersey, including Bergen and Passaic counties. And they include scientists, engineers, administrators, and maintenance crews. While they clashed on the sequestration, Obama and Republicans appeared determined to contain their disagreement to avoid a complete government shutdown. Boehner said the House would pass legislation next week to extend routine funding for government agencies beyond the March 27th expiration. I'm hopeful that we won't have to deal with the threat of a government shutdown while we're dealing with the sequester. Barring a quick deal in the next week or two to call off the cuts, the impact eventually is likely to be felt in all reaches of the country. The longer these cuts remain in place, the greater the damage to our economy. A slow grind that will intensify with each passing day. Much of the budget savings will come through unpaid furloughs for government workers, and those won't begin taking effect until next month. Obama declined to say if he bore any of the responsibility for the coming cuts, and expressed bemusement at any suggestion he had the ability to force Republicans to agree with him. I'm not a dictator. I'm the president, he said. Neither the president nor the Republicans claimed to like what was about to happen. Obama called the cuts dumb.
Obama made it real simple that any lay person can understand. The spending cuts are just flat out dumb or el stupido.
Yeah, whatever. Hey, what the hell? Now, speaking about a Roman Catholic without a brain and totally deceived, Washington Supreme Court's conservative justices voiced deep skepticism on Wednesday about a section of a landmark civil rights law that has helped millions of Americans exercise their right to vote. In an ominous note for supporters of the key provision of the Voting Rights Act, Justice Anthony Kennedy both acknowledged the measure's vital role in fighting discrimination and suggested that other important laws in United States history had run their course. Times change, Kennedy said. Kennedy's views are likely to prevail on the closely divided court, and he tends to side with his more conservative colleagues on matters of race. The court's liberals and conservatives engaged in a sometimes tense back and forth over whether there is an ongoing need in 2013 for the part of the voting rights law that requires states with a history of discrimination, mainly in the Deep South, to get approval before making changes in the way elections are held. Justice Antonin Scalia called the law a perpetuation of racial entitlement. Conservative justices wondered whether there was any end in sight for a provision that intrudes on states' rights to conduct elections, and which was regarded as an emergency response to decades of state-sponsored discrimination in voting, despite the 15th Amendment's guarantee of the vote for black Americans. The provision shifted the legal burden and required governments that were covered to demonstrate that their proposed changes would not discriminate. The court's 4 liberal justices, including Obama appointees Elena Kagan and Sonia Sotomayor,
Yeah, I always have trouble with her name.
appeared uniformly to be willing to defer to decision by Congress that more progress needs to be made before freeing the states from the special federal monitoring. Those justices aggressively questioned Burt Rhine, the lawyer representing Shelby County, Alabama, in its challenge to the law. Sotomayor acknowledged some parts of the South had changed, but she asserted that recent voting rights lawsuits in Alabama suggested that Shelby County, near Birmingham, has not made sufficient progress. Why would we vote in favor of a county whose record is the epitome of what caused the passage of this law to start with? The requirement currently applies to Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Georgia, Louisiana, Mississippi, South Carolina, Texas, and Virginia.
Interesting.
Red states.
Red states. Red states
That
strike.
once hated blacks and wanted slavery for all time.
Which is similar to the way corporate America, corporate CEOs are now with outsourcing. The same mentality, slavery, being anti-minimum wage, anti-benefits, wanting to pay people next to nothing. It's similar to the same mentality, right? That the big plantation owners, the pot-bellied sharecroppers of the South, what they wanted with slavery, the European colonies brought in slaves because the same mentality, greed, instead of paying people to work the farms, they figure let's steal people from Africa and drag them over here.
Because they were too lazy.
The rich were very lazy, are very lazy, they still are.
Yeah, isn't that funny?
Now,
that's the first criticism of the poor, is that they are lazy. But nobody ever talks about the lazy rich.
I always see, did you receive that email that I received, that I forwarded to you from somebody I know very well, about, it was pretty much complaining about the state of America today and who is to blame, and of course
you're a whatchamacallit.
Yeah,
if you
if you're of course if you're a Republican, if you're a right winger, the fault always lies with the liberals and the Democrats and the poor and government. They're always anti-government.
But they're in charge of the government.
And they keep on saying the same thing. They call people, low-income people that are on social programs today, they call them lazy, sloth, guilty of sloth. That means laziness, right? They're lazy, basically lazy, good for nothing.
Welfare queens.
They're all lazy, good-for-nothings, and they keep on thinking in the past, and that the United States still is loaded with jobs, that the people on social programs do not want to work, they do not want to get a job, almost like the jobs are actually here and that they're abundant.
Well, speaking of that, I have seen no research lately of how the welfare as we know it change has been continuing. Whereas, you have to have a job now for you to get your stipend. So where are they getting all these jobs for all the people on welfare since 1996?
They're not
when
there.
Clinton and the Republicans changed welfare as we know it.
They're not there. The jobs are not there.
Well, what are they doing?
I don't know.
I have heard no research on this area whatsoever.
And the people getting food stamps and Medicaid and welfare, it's like giving it's like throwing crumbs to pigeons. It's next to nothing. I mean, if you make $800, I think, or more in New Jersey a month, you're too wealthy for a Medicaid card, and welfare is $140 a month, some ridiculous number like that, and food stamps are definitely a drop in a bucket. I mean, they don't come close to what groceries really cost, and you can't get rent subsidy anymore. The money's not there for Section 8, and but the Republicans making a big damn deal, like all these things are handouts, which they're really not. Oh, by the way, Social Security is not an entitlement and a handout at all. Actually, I hear the federal government owes money to Social Security.
Well, I explained it before.
Yeah.
Every bit of money that comes in from the FICA taxes, the Social Security tax, is spent by the general welfare of the government.
Yeah.
And Social Security is given Treasury bonds. Of course, if the United States goes down the tubes, Treasury bonds are worth nothing. And that's what George W. Bush said when he was around, that they were just bunches of piece of paper in file cabinets. Well, gee whiz, the last time I looked, and of course, if this is all of God, well then, forget about it. But
yeah.
The last time I looked, Treasury bonds were the best investment in all the world.
Yeah, all my uncles, my geezer uncles used to tell me that. They said, take the civil service. I'm trying, I got to imitate them. Hey, Jimmy, take the civil service test. Get in the post office. Benefits. You have a job for life, And then they would say, what do you want to invest in? No load mutual funds, blah, blah. No. Treasury, U.S. Treasury bonds.
Yeah, they're the best.
And then my uncle used to say, get a job with a big blue chip company. You're there, you work hard, you'll be there for life. And
Not today.
Right. These people are living in the
That business model is gone.
These people are living, these older generation Republicans are living in the 1950s and early 60s. That America has been gone for quite some time
Since Reagan.
Now. Since Reagan, so they're still spouting the same nonsense. Get a job. Even younger people like Danny Mount. Oh, you can get a job. My father came to San Francisco with next to nothing, something like that, without a pot to piss in, and he found jobs and blah blah blah. Yeah, those times there were jobs in America. At those times there was prosperity.
And wages have been flat for who knows how long.
You mean
the CEO pay, the wealthy's pay, etc., etc.
Up.
But wages, flat.
Well, I hear if they made the minimum wage fairly equal to the cost of living, it would technically be in New Jersey would be over $20 an hour.
Yeah, probably 21 something.
Would be an accurate, fair minimum wage according to the cost of living, but it's like $7 and what?
25.
$7.25.
And they're complaining they want to don't raise it to $9.
So
They'll put us out of business.
So I guess all these rich white geezers, these right-wing, very wealthy geezers, I guess they would like people to pretty much work as slaves again. Or work for pennies an hour. The greed just doesn't end. It goes on and on and on. Now, you have an article which will probably be the last article that you've selected. Now, I have something to say about healthcare that I had written down the other day. What do you want me to do? The healthcare first and that article last, or you want to do the article first and me do this last?
Healthcare.
All right.
Oh, excuse me.
I was listening to a very popular jazz station that plays a lot of old stuff. They play blues, they play bluegrass, they play jazz, they play music from sometimes the 1920s and such. And there was a show on I don't know if I changed the station or not, but there's a show, there's a radio program here in the New York metropolitan area called The People's Pharmacy, hosted by Kerry and Joe Graydon. Well, you could tell that The People's Pharmacy by Kerry and Joe Graydon was kind of similar. They are not representatives of what the people should be doing for their health. They sounded like orthodox, mainstream allopathic pharmacists, you know, backing the medical profession, because they said something, a couple things that didn't make sense to me. They said that taking calcium supplements will shorten your lifespan. Okay, and try to get it from food. That's a lie.
How the hell are you going to get it?
That's a
It's
lie.
like getting vitamin E and vitamin C,
Yeah,
and calcium from food.
And then when they promoted women taking women that were pregnant taking a folic acid, they recommended. It sounded like they were recommending the folic acid that the government allows. You know, the lousy stinking 400 micrograms or 800 micrograms per day. And then they mentioned all the foods that pregnant women can get folic acid from. There's no way you're going to get enough folic acid from the foods found in supermarkets, and 400 micrograms or 800 micrograms is not nearly enough, because a woman at the pharmacy, when I went there, a woman was picking up her prescription for folic acid of 1 milligram, which is 1,000 micrograms, which made a light bulb, you know, illuminate on top of my head. Hey, wait a minute. The decent amounts of folic acid are in prescription only. And then I'm thinking, well, maybe they want people to go to a doctor, get a prescription for decent folic acid, and they want these women to go to their pharmacy and get the folic acid.
Codex.
Which means that a pharmaceutical company is making the folic acid to be sold for high amounts, where they charge in the insurance company. Folic acids are B vitamins. Folic acid in decent amount of the dosages can be as high as 35 milligrams. Okay.
Codex.
Codex alimentarius. Codex alimentarius.
That's what that's all about.
The late great Dr. Robert Atkins used to talk about 35 milligrams of folic acid is what a woman needs to prevent birth defects. But no, they were telling you to get it from food. So shame on you, Kerry and Joe Graydon of the People's Pharmacy, lying about things that are just not true, like calcium supplementation, which is very important, and lying about the proper dosages of folic acid for pregnant women. It's absurd. You know, that's all I wanted to say.
NASA probes that are exploring the treacherous twin Van Allen radiation belts encircling the Earth
Right.
spied a third unexpected band of radiation
All right.
that burst into view and then disappeared. The NASA probes spotted the temporary band of high-energy electrons just 3 days after launch. The discovery has stunned scientists and is forcing a rethink of the radiation environment above the Earth, with implications for proposed human deep space missions. In 1958, early NASA satellites recorded 2 zones of dangerous electron and proton radiation extending 12,000 miles beyond Earth.
Wow.
Named for scientist James Van Allen. The dual donut-shaped regions were the first major discovery of the space age. Last August 30, NASA launched the twin radiation belt storm probes, since renamed the Van Allen probes, to provide a deeper understanding of the region A radiation detection instrument was scheduled to be switched on a month later, but mission scientists decided to turn it on early.
Really?
3 days after launch, just 1 day after the instruments powered up, the third belt appeared. We initially thought this looks odd. Maybe something screwed up, said scientist Schrei Kneckel. Kneckel. But as days went by, the third belt just stood there. We checked our instrument, became more and more confident there was not something wrong. The third belt, which formed between the two known belts, disappeared about a month later, when a blast of energy from the sun blew past the Earth. Such solar weather can warp and compress the outer Van Allen belt. But earlier missions had never seen a third belt before. Researchers are puzzled over the temporary band of high energy electrons. They are trying to understand why it did not quickly merge with the outer belt, as predicted by current understanding of the physics of the region. We don't know why. We haven't seen this before, said Kneckel, a co-author of a new report online in Science describing the find. We don't know if it's a rare phenomenon. Even after 50 years, nature is still capable of surprising us.
What? Of what?
Surprising us.
Yeah, you gotta speak up because it is
Surprising us!
heating system you have here. All right. Interesting. Very interesting. Well, let me do a really quickie promo. Quickie dicky, right? This guy right next to me, this guy right here. This is a self-portrait of my co-host and mentor, the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisman. The Reverend Dr. Bill is a fine watercolor artist. You can see the new home of the William J. Eisman collection on Tumblr, which is, I believe, William, all one word, William J. Eisman collection .tumblr.com, and I believe Tumblr is spelled T-U-M-B-L-R. Okay. Also, newsletter censored is promoted there, but you can see maybe 95% of his paintings. And if you see something you like, email the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisman, and if he still has it, you can procure one of his authentic watercolor paintings signed by him. Now, the paintings that are still in your possession, what would be easier to determine? The paintings that are not in your possession or the paintings that are in your possession? Because I have to see if there's a little area under each painting where I could type available or unavailable, available or unavailable.
I wouldn't do it because it would be subject to change at any time.
You mean availability? So the best thing is for somebody to inquire and say, look, I like 3 of your paintings very much. You got them?
Or they can commission me for paintings of their own. You ever heard of that?
I thought you don't like being commissioned as an artist.
I don't. But it depends on the work. I still have the right to say no,
But your creation will be unique to William J. Eisman. In other words, somebody would tell you, you can only create a painting by commission according to the information somebody gives you. You know what I mean? Like if they tell you basically what they want in the painting, And then you tell them, are you sure that's all you want me to do? Is there anything else? And they go, actually, no. That's all I want. Then you, in turn, do it.
Or they could have a wedding picture, which they would like.
Right. In other words,
know?
if they have a photo of something they want painted, that will be probably the very best way to commission.
Good reference photo, yes.
The Reverend Dr. William J. Eisen. Okay, now, if you're wondering, what's the best way to join our organization? What's the best way to be a part of our organization? Well, this is the very backbone of our organization, and this is how you join us. Go to newslettercensored.com and get your free annual subscription with your gift to support this work of Newsletter Censored. Since 1977, this was founded by the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman in 1977. There's nothing like Newsletter Censored out there. Nothing. You need Newsletter Censored. We are living in the end times, and you need Newsletter Censored to teach you how to defeat a conservative and find out exactly what is really in the Bible. Not what right-wing fundamentalist, zealot, holy roller nuts, religious nuts tell you.
Who have never read Revelation 22.
Who have never read most of the Bible.
Well.
Like Revelation 22, which is that?
Well, if you read Revelation 22,
Yeah.
you'll understand that your traditional concepts of heaven and hell are crap.
And that's just the tip of the iceberg. But if you go on your browser, let's say it's Google, and you type in the God Project on demand archive classics, you will listen to on demand all the God projects of the past. And that includes the censored on demand archive classics. You will hear all the censors that were ever done. And you can, at any time, you could find out what's really in the Bible from the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman's mouth himself. And anyway, go to newslettercensored.com, get your subscription right now, okay? Free annual subscription with your gift to support this work. You need Newsletter Censored. And at the top of newslettercensored.com is our link to our hard-hitting truth internet talk radio station. Our progressive internet talk radio station is right at the top of Newsletter Censored. So go there and, check out Tumblr, check out everything. Our YouTube channel, all the links are on the radio station, and all the links bring you back to the backbone of our organization, which is newslettercensored.com. Get your subscription now. Okay. Do you have a not so long or short
I don't think so.
good article? Okay, so we're going to end this, and I apologize for this short program because I had to set the alarm for 7 a.m. to upload the pro wrestling show from the Elks Lodge in Pompton Lakes, New Jersey, JCW Wrestling, and I forgot when I reset the time to wake me up to do this show, Progressive Discussions. I forgot to actually set the alarm part because I was groggy, and therefore I woke up.
You had some grog?
Yeah, I wish. That would have made it worse. I woke up at 2:30 p.m. and I was supposed to be here at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I rushed. I didn't do a lot of things that I normally do, like shave again, have some nice delicious hot hazelnut coffee, which I will do when I go home. Have breakfast. I didn't even put the God Project on the air yet. I have to do that when I go home, but the God Project's supposed to start at 2 p.m. And this is what happens. I just had to prioritize what I had to do, and it came right here. And if I look sleepy, it probably means that I am sleepy. But it wasn't a bad show. It was pretty hard hitting. We touched upon some pretty important topics, and yeah, this, you have seen Progressive Discussions, and we are coming to you from the Newsletter Censored Research Center in northeastern New Jersey, and I am James P. Madonna. I forgot to introduce myself because we had to just get right into the readings, and that's about it. The sun's out; it's beautiful. St. Patrick's Day is a couple weeks away, about 2 weeks away, give or take. And it falls on a Sunday this year, which means everybody that is working that can't take advantage and gorge himself of the succulent, tender corned beef brisket with cabbage.
You'll do it for them.
No, they'll be able to do it because unless you live in a part of the country that doesn't have something like that. But if you live in the northern New Jersey area, you can go to Pub 46 in Clifton and gorge yourself. You know, you gotta buy a drink, buy a beer. If you're not a lush, nurse it. You know, take one sip every 20 minutes. You know, you gotta learn the system from me. And enjoy. I'll be going to the private party, which I will video. You'll see performances. You'll see me stuff on my face. You'll see my friends stuff on my face. And Steve, the carnival man, I believe his name is, and it should be a lot of fun. I think I'll even wear this tie. Okay, thank you for joining us for Progressive Discussions. What do they say, the Irish? Erin go braless?
Something about
Erin go bra?
something about. I hope
You're in heaven
Yeah.
a half hour before the devil knows you're dead? Something like that.
something like that.
But I know they always say, I guess...
and also
I guess
about the road coming up and meeting you in the face.
something like that. Yeah, Sheamus probably knows all
Seamus
that.
Moran.
No, Sheamus of the WWE, professional wrestler Sheamus, probably knows all these limericks and proverbs and things of that nature. Also, if you're a Facebook member and you go to one of my groups, there is a detailed information about the history of the shillelagh, and actually you can find the information by going to Wicklow County tourism page. They give you detailed information. That is where the forests of blackthorn exists, in Wicklow County, which is, I believe, southeastern Ireland. And of course, so many centuries of English oppression, and that's another talk show. But that's another talk show. But anyway, whatever. Countdown to St. Patrick's Day. Say so long to these
So long, people.
These people.